Hey everyone, welcome to Simplexity, where we simplify the complexities of life and bring a little curiosity and contemplation to meaningful and sometimes difficult conversations. I'm your host, Alyson Stoner. Where is home for you? The place you sleep, with the table that holds your breakfast, and the shelves that lift your stuff off the floor. Now, imagine every night sleeping under the stars, just on the edge of a forest, hearing critters emerge with the moon, cuddling that special someone to stay warm. That is the life of my two friends, Kathy and Steve. However, their romance is set against a much different backdrop than you may be picturing. Kathy and Steve are experiencing homelessness, and have been for the last 8 years. I met Steve outside a grocery store 7.5 years ago and was stopped in my tracks by his piercing blue eyes and sun-stained skin. He was apologetically panhandling, something you could tell gnawed at his basic dignity and previously proven competence. We struck up a conversation, and I offered soup, to which he asked politely if he could also get some for his wife. Wondering whether he was making up the second person altogether, I reasoned that asking for 2 servings was more than acceptable regardless, and we sat outside as he ate his portion. Being strangers meant we knew nothing about the trustworthiness and legitimacy of each other's stories. We were cautious, but keen listeners. Eventually, it was time to part, and I asked how far he'd be walking back to his wife. 3 to 4 miles. Not too bad, he said. And that's when I did something I do not really recommend. I went against the common sense of stranger danger, and I gave him a ride, playing out all the possible scenarios of what could happen in that instant. Being the gentleman he is, Steve asked if I'd wait 1 minute so he could change into a fresh pair of trousers as to not get my car seat dirty. He called them his bus pants, in case he had a lucky day panhandling and didn't have to walk home. If this were a lie, he totally caught me by the heartstrings. If this were true, he was a beautiful and thoughtful human. What may surprise you, but hopefully doesn't, is that Steve and Kathy are both intelligent, hardworking, and faithfully married to each other. No, homelessness is not just about bad people making bad choices. Homelessness is a major reality here in Los Angeles, and it creeps in as an unwelcome visitor for countless reasons, all of which are deserving of our awareness and understanding. So what I want to point out is that if you haven't experienced homelessness, you will not somehow understand perfectly what it's like after this podcast. How dare we assume we can even package answers that summarize years and years of daily life and events, changes, opportunities, connections, development. If you have or are experiencing homelessness, and I know several of my followers are because you've DM'd me, I hope you gain strength and support through hearing their story. This is a starting place to a conversation, and Kathy and Steve are genuine friends, so we are privileged to hear their perspective, a point of view that is brushed over and neglected in the media and society. As we begin, let's remember that Kathy and Steve were first your next-door neighbors before they were the people you pass by, and whose eye contact you now avoid. Please welcome to the show, Kathy and Steve. How are you?
Yeah, well, thank
We're
you.
doing good.
Oh, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Never in a million years did I think that we would be sitting
Can
here.
you imagine? Oh my gosh, from that time when you first met Steve to this, it's just
And we were
it's
just
an amazing journey.
replaying what that moment was
It was
because
crazy.
I forgot that we had actually stopped at the store to get some supplies, and you were sick.
I was very sick with a bad cold, my asthma, and
Yeah.
you came down into those woods.
Right. Here I
And that
am
must
with
have
a
been the
stranger.
scariest.
Yeah. And I'm
It
thinking,
was crazy.
how deep into the woods am I going? And you would say, oh, we're almost there. Oh, we're almost there. And I'm thinking, he better have a wife over here.
That was crazy. I could not imagine. You were so young and
I
just so
know.
vulnerable, and
I
you
know.
trusted my husband, which I'm glad you did.
My parents listening are like, oh, God, I'm glad we didn't know this. So I'd like to begin first with just how you two met. And, your bond is a superpower in this shared experience of being without a traditional physical home. How did you two fall in love? And what's your favorite quality about the other?
I'll let you go.
Ooh.
Well, I lived in New York with my friend. We decided to move to Rhode Island to open up a mechanic shop. And his cousin rented a back apartment in a big house that her and
Was my
her
best friend.
live in there. And one weekend they had a barbecue. And me and my friends went there for barbecue, and she just strolled through
Oh, I seen him and forget about it.
Yeah, that
The
was
eyes,
it.
right?
Oh, I told my girlfriend he's going to be my husband. Oh my gosh, yeah. He
Yeah.
was so handsome.
Chills.
And then about a week after that, it was my birthday. I found the excuse to just use, since we were new to town, if she knows any good restaurant or a bar or hangout place that I can enjoy my birthday.
Smooth.
Oh, it was great. It was great. And I told him, of course, and I had no makeup on when I answered the door. So I said, give me 1 second. I ran upstairs, threw on all this makeup, got myself all pretty, and I said, let's go. And I took him out for his birthday.
Now, what is one quality that just stands out to you about each other?
Oh, his compassion, his everything. He's just so kind and lovable and just
Thank you.
very respectful. I've never met a man that respected me as much as he did, and that's what one of my things that attracted me to him was.
What about you?
She has a beautiful heart. She cares about everything, not just people, animal,
It's true.
everything.
I've seen
Thanks, baby.
She thinks every life is important.
So do
That's
you.
so true.
Yeah.
Thank you, baby. Thank you.
So, if we flash forward to the present chapter, can you walk us through what life looked like between work and your health and your plans, even right before things began coming undone? And was it like a gradual, slow slip, or did one major event cause the undoing and then you couldn't find your way back?
It pretty much was actually two big things. I ended up losing my job. I was managing a little shawarma place on Reseda Boulevard. And they had called me one day and just said, don't bother coming in. And they had closed, and that was that for me. So my job was done. And then the following week and a half or 2 weeks later, his restaurant he was managing closed.
They went out of business.
And
that was a big restaurant, It was a Market Broiler on Tarzana. It was a seafood restaurant. They went out of business. And they gave us only 3 days notice.
You weren't in a place where you thought this could happen to you, right?
Not.
No.
Everything. I was working 12, 13 hours a day, every day. He was working pretty much the same hours.
We had a beautiful condo,
Things were beautiful.
How did it slowly change? Were you
It was
trying
gradual.
were you trying to get
gradually,
more work or make ends meet or?
Well, since we were making good money, our rent was almost 9 years back. We were paying $1,400 a month for one bedroom. Nice, ritzy place we were paying. So I thought, no worries, with my experience and everything, I can get another job. We kept on paying those rents. It took about almost 3 months going out of our pocket, and I couldn't find jobs and everything.
There was nothing.
The saving ran out, eventually runs out, the little bit of savings you have.
Right.
Well, then we went to the motels. On
Then-
Sepulveda, we were paying for
then
the
after-
hotels.
We had to move out. I didn't want to get the eviction, so we decided when we couldn't pay the rent, we just move out. Then we couldn't find any cheaper place. We had no choice. We had to go to the motels. And back in those days, we were paying $250 a week for a really, really the
with
lowest kind of
cockroaches and-
motels. But
Yeah.
it was thousands, so it was cheaper.
Right.
We stayed there for about 5 months, I believe, and still couldn't find work. It was during the recession and everything.
And you had kept a lot of your belongings.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes, we
we
did,
brought
yeah.
them to the hotel
We
with
brought
us,
it to the
Right.
hotel with
actually.
us, yeah.
We furnished our
Thinking
hotel room.
probably you'll get
Well,
your
when
next place and
eventually,
we'll
yeah.
furnish
Exactly.
it.
We
And
never expected to be where we ended up.
Yeah.
And this entire experience has led you to a heightened awareness of vulnerability. Most of the time when we refer to being vulnerable, I think we put it in terms of like emotional intimacy with a loved one, but you've tasted vulnerability in the form of literal physical safety, and being subject to natural disasters and weather and
More times than once.
discrimination, violence. If you're comfortable sharing, how has this kind of vulnerability affected your mind and your heart?
Oh, that's a tough one. At first, it was very scary. I was afraid to even come up out of the wash where we were living because I just didn't trust what was around me. I mean, there was a lot of negative. When people see you coming up out of that area, they know you're homeless. I mean, he actually had people spitting on him, and then other people would come down there wanting to rob us. So it made you really not trust a lot of people around us. So,
Right.
I mean, I don't know about him, but that's how I felt.
Well, I never told you till this day. I was worried about you at all time, but I had to kind of hide those emotions and keep a strong face to keep you going. I was leaving to go try to make money, whether it was recycling or whatever, as long as it was legal. But I was worried about you. But I had to put it to you like, you're okay, you're going to be safe.
Yeah,
Even
he
though
always
I
told
knew
me
you're
that,
not,
yeah.
but I had to give you that support and keep you in a positive way, you know.
Has your view of humanity changed over time?
It has. For
It
me,
has, yeah.
people that have the less amount of money are the ones who I look at now and respect them because they're the ones who helped us more than, like general population. The immigrants were the ones who actually gave and
Of
The
whatever
most.
they had.
of
The most,
whatever
yeah.
they would empty their pockets when he was panhandling and just give what they had and
Wow.
blessed us, and it made me realize that I never had that opportunity to respect them the way I was brought up. Immigrants would come here and blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
But I love them and I bless them every time I see them. I mean, they're just amazing because they're the ones who come to us and helped us more than like the government. I'm stumbling.
Yeah. No, that's okay.
So my view on them is like so different than what it was before I became homeless.
That's beautiful.
I should say. Yeah.
That's beautiful. I mean, that's a positive shift.
It really is.
Many of us take for granted the sense of relative safety, having shelter, food, access to transportation, a network of people, whatever that security blanket is. What methods do you use to create a safe environment? And what are the risks that we're forgetting that you face every day?
When you're on the streets, you got to deal with people with mental issue, people that are on drugs, people that they're drunk.
Wanting to take what we have.
Most people, I'm not saying all of them, but I would say 60% of the population of homeless, they go and steal,
Yeah.
do whatever it takes
Right.
to support their habits. And you have to watch out for those.
Right.
Living outdoor, you got to worry about the night creature.
Oh gosh, the coyotes.
You got coyotes, you got raccoons, possums. People say possums
they're
are
so
docile,
cute.
you
I
know,
love them.
they don't do nothing.
They used to come into
they're
our top.
ugly, but they don't
I
do
used to
nothing.
pick them up and have to put them out. Whoops.
Stop.
Oh,
Really?
they were
Yeah.
so cute.
Oh
my
my
gosh.
gosh.
Itty bitty babies.
You probably named them.
We did.
Even we had the raccoons that we became friendly with us. I had a raccoon. The daddy raccoon used to come and sit on my lap. And
That was
I used to
Rocky
feed him,
Raccoon,
yeah.
yes.
Oh my gosh.
Big one, it could stand this high up, but
So you had the natural elements.
Oh,
Bugs.
yes. Oh, the spiders.
in the past 8 years, I spotted 3 rattlesnakes,
Wow.
a couple of rat snakes. Rat snakes are nothing, but
Yeah, you adapt to a whole different connection to
different.
the planet for sure.
Really, you do. Yeah. Yeah.
So I know that many people think it's as easy as just getting a job
I
or
wish.
being a better planner, maybe. But a lot of people experiencing homelessness are actually working very hard. And I've witnessed both of you go in and out of employment. And I know, Kathy, you've had different medical issues and different setbacks. Can you explain some of the stresses and obstacles of getting back on your feet? And, what were some of the sacrifices that you had to make between something as big as, home or health, but you can only have one?
Go ahead, babe.
Well, when it comes to that issue, health was the most important issue for me. I had to sacrifice a lot of things to make sure she has her medication. Because without that, she couldn't breathe.
Before I was able to get Medi-Cal, because we didn't have ID back then when we first became homeless, you couldn't get any kind of help without an ID. Now, we didn't have any of that because we had previously lost it through the movement from hotel to hotel. Somehow we lost everything, and we didn't have the money to get new. So my medicine was up to $400 a month.
Oof.
That's being on the low end. That's
Right.
not having everything that I possibly need. So we had to choose between getting food or getting my medicine on certain days. So he always chose, of course, my medicine.
Wow.
So those were a couple of the sacrifices for
And
that.
some of the stresses and obstacles when you're trying to get employment, I'm guessing
gosh,
that.
when you can't wash up every day,
It's
when
so
you
hard.
can't clean your clothes every day.
And where do you put like your address if on an
There-
application?
That's
exactly.
the most important thing. That's why we couldn't get ID because we didn't have an address. We couldn't get our identification, get the proper.
The government or somebody out there has to try to help of letting the homeless have some kind of address to send
Right,
stuff
like using
to.
a shelter, even on paper, people can go.
Right, but you can't
"Ooh."
use a shelter unless you stay
can't
there.
use it unless you stay there.
And you actually did stay in shelters and didn't always have the best experience,
We
right?
didn't actually stay.
Or you scouted.
We
them.
scouted,
Scouted
but
them.
there was no way. They wanted to separate husband and wife. That
Every
terrified
one of the
me.
shelters, you
I could
know.
not be without him. I mean, he protects me. He's
Right.
and they don't separate the drug addicts from like just regular.
Right. So people,
people
who
that
have
are detoxing.
specific needs and
Right. So that's kind of
Actually,
scary.
If I can make a point, the people with drug, alcohol, and mental issue, there's a lot more program for them out there than when
Yes.
you're straight.
interesting.
There is really hardly any program for the people that are straight. I was approached, I forget, a couple of years ago. That's why I stopped the shelters. That if you don't have a drug problem, well, why don't you do it one time? So you show
Right.
dirty result, then we can take you in, which I refused.
So
you need-
encouraging you.
you have to
To
be.
develop
do
a
it so you
problem
have a problem
so you can
they
be
can take you
assisted.
in, so you
Right.
can be assisted.
That's another
There's
issue.
hardly any program for the people that they have no problems.
And are simply kind of battling
Battling
circumstance
the
and
circumstances.
Right.
maybe a lack of support with family or friends or
Yeah.
and how the system is set up I know is not
Exactly.
always fair and
They
equitable.
try to put you in
You
just
have
one.
to have some
Yeah.
kind of problem or setback.
Well, there's a lot more territory I want to cover, but we're going to take a quick break to regroup, and I will talk to y'all after this.
Okay.
This is probably something I should keep to myself, but last night I was about to get in the shower and my friend was over and we're super comfortable with each other. So they pass by and I'm wearing my Third Love bra and underwear. And they look at me and go, "Oh my gosh, is that the bra you were talking about on your podcast?" And I was like, "Yeah, isn't it perfect?" And they say, "I've never seen anything fit you like that. It looks like it was made for you. And apparently you weren't lying." And then I proceeded to prove that there was no gapping and no overhang by dancing in every way possible. I'll leave that to your imagination. While talking about their signature half sizes, their Fit Finder quiz, which I took, it only takes a minute. It's amazing. And I'm gushing over the fact that they donate all their gently used bras to women in need if you decide after wearing yours for 60 days that you want to return it. It is hands down the most comfortable bra you will ever own, and they have so many styles that are tailored to your breast shape, unique measurements, needs, and preferences. All the yummy goodness. Right now, Third Love is offering my listeners 15% off your first order. So go to thirdlove.com/stoner now to find your perfect fitting bra and get 15% off your first purchase. That's thirdlove.com/stoner for 15% off today. Quick health check-in. How many hours did you sleep last night? How many of those were restful? Listen, you don't need me to remind you, but I will. You deserve and need quality sleep in order to preserve your health and reach those wonderful goals you've set for yourself. If you're struggling with sleep, you gotta try a Purple mattress. The Purple mattress is going to feel different from your old memory foam and whatnot because it uses a brand new material that was developed by an actual rocket scientist. So it's firm enough that you feel supported and you don't wake up in weird shapes and unusual pain, but it's also soft enough that you're comfortable. They're quite generous over there because they offer a 100-night risk-free trial and you can return it for a full refund. But if you keep it, you still have a 10-year warranty, free shipping and returns, free in-home setup, and old mattress removal. You'll love it! And right now, Simplexity listeners will get a free purple pillow with the purchase of a mattress. That's in addition to the great free gifts they're offering site-wide. Just text Simplexity to 84888. The only way to get this free pillow is to text Simplexity to 84888. That's SIMPLEXITY to 84888. Message and data rates may apply. And the best way to support great sleep is with that purple mattress.
All right, welcome back. We're hanging out here with Kathy and Steve, and we are hearing all about their story and journey from living with a traditional home to being homeless. And I really appreciate you both being here.
Thank you, Alyson.
So I want to talk about the various organizations and government assistance programs, because you mentioned they're available if you have certain ailments or conditions. But there are also, you hear about rent assistance and how to have stable housing and these emergency services for basic needs. I'm just going to ask the question that might be on someone's mind listening. How come you haven't tried these programs or moved in with family or friends or gone somewhere cheaper than California?
Okay, well,
Yep, it's loaded.
Let's see.
That's a big question.
So going back to Rhode Island with family, for one, we couldn't afford to move out there, and for two, we're kind of not in the best.
It's complex.
It's very complex, yes.
And with my family, my parents are so old. They're basically living on Social Security and they're barely surviving. I didn't want to be a burden to them. If anything, I'm the one supposed to help them at their old age.
Did you seek out some of the assistant programs?
We've tried. There's like 3-year waiting list for one, and you do have to go into a shelter to qualify. There's just a lot of hoops you got to jump through, and a lot of people don't actually make it through to get to the housing.
The support.
Right.
And so by now, you've proven yourselves to be incredibly resilient and capable and also adaptable. I remember visiting one of your earlier setups. It was a few floods and fires ago.
Right.
And Steve, you'd assembled furniture and supplies into makeshift walls, and you'd camouflaged it entirely in brush so it was less visible to people passing by. You even segmented areas for kitchen, for bathing, laundry.
And we had wall-to-wall carpeting, tree-to-tree carpeting, actually, because he wouldn't dare let me walk in the dirt.
And you bought a generator. You had, power, and you were able to watch movies on this small little laptop.
Yes.
So at the time, you still had some of your belongings from previous homes, and a lot has happened since then. Can you describe some of the different lessons you learned in how to actually live without a roof over your head?
Oh, it was very hard. As you recall, first when you came, we didn't have no generator. We didn't have
tarps.
No tents. We would actually had sticks and we put tarps around made of wall, and just a mattress on the floor. I had no idea about generator even.
Or a tent. To set up a tent.
To set up a thing. And it took us actually about 2 years before we learned all of that.
Wow.
Until a very good friend.
A good friend set us with our first tent.
Alyson.
Yay.
So that taught us that a tent is actually safer than the tarps, which it was common sense, but we just didn't. We were just so stunned that we were in that situation that we didn't know how to adjust to that right away.
We were just dealing with everyday struggle.
Right.
And having food and your medication and everything.
And then the tent actually showed us that we can be safe from the environment until the floods came and took that all away.
Right.
And then eventually we thought about that generator, which we got. Then we got the refrigerator to keep our food safe.
And when you were dealing with different health issues, I know you weren't able to get up and go, to job interviews.
Right.
So I remember you had different art books and
that's right.
movies you were able to watch. And you were even able to see some of the projects I was in.
Exactly.
So you'd send a message here and there, and I'd be like, what are you doing watching Step Up?
Right, we were able, that's how, right. Because you could only read so many books.
Right.
Then he eventually got us our portable DVD player. Which
amazing.
We were watching with portable DVD player before we even got a generator for about a year.
Right, and you'd go and plug in and charge it.
At the library or at the bathrooms.
Right,
yes, we would charge it so we'd have something to watch at nighttime.
Yeah.
Because you can't fall asleep at 7 o'clock every night.
Right. And also just maybe to cancel out the elements too.
And that's another thing. Yeah, we don't hear all the animals creeping up behind us.
Right. Now that it's been 8 years, do you have a desire to find a different living arrangement?
Well, we do have a surprise for
Yes,
you,
we do.
Alyson. I'll let my wife get into that
Okay.
for you.
So you all heard the Sepulveda Basin fire, which we lost completely everything. That was on the news and everything. So from that, it was a blessing. We lost completely everything, and we are living in a home. Right now, we have a home. We are renting a room, so we are safe. My cats are safe, and we got out of that situation. So
How?
isn't that amazing? Yes.
Okay, wait.
Yes.
How? What?
Oh,
Yes.
What?
Yes.
well, thanks to generosity of a certain individual that we know, a good friend of ours, helped us from after the fire, put us in a hotel for 3 days. And then another friend helped us with another 4 days in a hotel.
And it
I
gave us the hope and ambition.
Hope and ambition. And there was really no other safe place for me to set up anywhere for my wife. I saved some money, and through another friend that I knew knows this lady with the installment payments.
Yes, so
So you were able to, in smaller portions, pay the month's
Initially with
rent.
only $500, I got there and then made the rest of the payment.
it's a $1,500 a month rent.
$1,500 a
How are
month.
you making the money to cover rent?
I'm going
Odd
out
jobs.
recycling, job hunting, going in front of the U-Haul, in front of the Home Depot, try to get painting jobs. I had to go 7 days a week, 14 to 15 hours a day
He busted his
to
butt.
make that $1,500 to pay her.
He
Yeah.
really
Wow.
did.
Moving
And
job
I just
until I
started
can
doing
find a job.
government phones,
Okay.
which it's starting out slow, but it's starting to help.
But you have a roof over your head.
We
Yeah.
do, and my cats are safe and happy,
Oh
and
my
we're safe and
gosh.
happy. No more critters, no more bugs.
Wow.
Yes.
Ironically, you probably had more stuff
Well, actually,
while living
we
outside.
sure did. Yeah.
We had everything except a hard roof. Now we have a
No.
hard roof, we have nothing.
Right. So I mean, but we got a hard roof, so I guess
Yeah.
we should be grateful for that, which we
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
Material things can always be replaced.
Exactly.
you
And
know.
your
We-
cats
Yeah,
came
my
with you.
cat, yes. We're like the phoenix coming out of the ash.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
This is so exciting.
Isn't it? It's great.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm
Making
proud
my
of us.
family
Years.
safe and secure.
After
That's
8
the most
years,
thing.
it gave us
Yeah.
that fire wiped us out, but it gave us something else. It gave us the strength to move on and get out of there and do something better with ourselves.
Wow.
Thank the Lord. So
Wow. I'm
Yes.
so impressed.
thank you.
That's
Thank
so
you.
exciting.
It is.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. We are so we couldn't hold it in anymore. We
Yeah.
had waiting for the
Here
perfect
I am
opportunity.
asking how it's going, and
Yes.
amazing.
Thank you.
Well, then, okay, let's talk a little bit about the stereotypes and the stigma.
Oh, gosh.
The perception from society and media, because you've now been interviewed several times
Yes.
during those natural disasters, and the news shows up and they ask you questions, and then they conveniently edit the footage together to tell a story that is not what you described.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I know that I have felt very misrepresented in the past. So, what happened in those interviews, and how does this affect how people and family and government and the police treat you daily?
Well, the last incident right here, LA Family Housing, had an interview with Daily News, which I got the article that says that they helped to put us here and they're giving us supplementary income,
That was not
which
true.
is not true at all.
So, you're not yet receiving.
We
We're
don't
not
get
receiving
anything.
anything
no.
yet.
We got into this home by ourselves from him working so hard, and they took the credit for getting us into this place, and it's not the truth.
And in the interview on camera, I know you were talking about what it's like in your community, but what parts did they keep and what parts did they take
Well,
out?
I had almost a 10 minutes interview that asked me about the situation over there and what happened. They asked me if people here, they have problems. I started by saying that, yes, some of them, most of them, they do have problems, whether it's mental issue problem, whether it's drug or alcohol. And then I got into a subject, but they're trying to help themselves, especially the ones that they're on my side. I keep only the people they're trying to help themselves.
We had a great community
They
there.
do have problems,
We did.
but they're trying to help themselves. That's why I'm supporting them, keeping them on my side of the park.
And by that, you mean you're policing the
Oh,
area.
I was,
absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, he was the mayor. of Balboa Park. Everybody knew Steve because, I mean, we would help with pillows and blankets and food. We would feed, I mean, because they had their problems. They couldn't help what they were doing, and they were going hungry, so we would make sure we fed them all. But the people there weren't bad people.
Not
they were
all of
really
them,
good
yeah.
people. I mean, we put out, before that huge fire, we put out at least 50 fires in the past 2 years.
Wow.
We had one girl that was setting them all. So we had our own fire department within the community. We policed our own community. I mean, we never had police activity there.
No, we
cops
never
were ever there.
once had a police report that was out of that field.
And they
that's
cut
the
that
reason
out.
they let us stay there,
Right, and they
because
cut
we had
that
no
out.
reports.
Yes.
And on the news, they reported.
That it was illicit activity all
Illicit
the time in that
activity
field, and
and
there
everything.
never was, ever. If anybody wants to go back and check, there was never, ever a report of any problems.
Not in the field where
Not in
the
the
fire
field.
happened.
No.
Wow.
In Sepulveda Basin on the other side, yes, there's a lot of bad activity going on, and they have report, but not in the section where the fire happened.
So
So
that's the
it's-
kind
That was
of
a
stuff
totally
that they,
different community.
yeah, that's
And
the
they're
kind.
perpetuating the narrative, right? That's convenient, that people are already familiar with.
Right,
And that also allows people to watch and then kind of turn a blind eye
exactly.
and,
right.
and alienate the community all over
Right.
again.
Right.
I can only imagine that you've drawn a lot of strength from having each other
Oh,
throughout
absolutely.
this.
Absolutely.
And I would love to just hear how the power of your partnership has helped you in this chapter, especially knowing now that you've gone through the fire literally, and you have
yes.
a roof over your head again.
Yes.
But it took 8 years. And what are some of the surprising lessons that strengthened you as a unit and then also as an individual?
Basically, you just kept me going, and trying to do everything I can to better our life and everything, just looking at you as much as I love you.
That I do know our love is what kept us strong. I never in all my wildest dreams ever thought that we would end up having to go through this and actually survive it. I mean, it's something that
Yeah.
somebody as much in love as we are, if we weren't the way we are with each other, we never would have survived this together. I mean, just the strength between us is just amazing. That's what blows my mind through this whole ordeal.
Yeah.
Is how much, and we love each other even more now. Going through all this together made us so much stronger,
Wow.
and it can only get better now.
There's been a lot of nights I was worried that what's going to happen, thinking about the next day, how I'm going to provide
Yeah.
food, or when you didn't have your
And he stayed so
medical,
strong. The
but
nights
I
I
had to stay
cried.
strong and just bury it all inside
He
me.
did. He stayed so strong for me.
Wow.
Always.
It's
my baby.
so admirable.
Yeah.
I'm always so impressed every time we spend time in hearing what you've gone through and what
You've heard a
the
lot.
recent update is.
Yes. And this is pretty much the best so far.
I know.
It's so amazing.
What
yes.
a beautiful, like seeing the light ahead and then now being in it.
It's there. But now we just got to try to hold on to it.
Hold on
Sure.
to it. We're
I
only
mean,
one
it's-
step away from being homeless,
Again,
but we're trying.
Yeah.
Sure.
We're
It's
trying.
Yeah, now you're still going to be having to figure out how to pay rent and
Right.
it's not like you're eating feasts every day.
Oh gosh, no. But we did go to LA Housing. Like, we're waiting for answer, so we may get help because we are behind this month already.
Yeah.
So we are waiting for their answer to see if we qualify. It's still a struggle. I mean, I got my job. I'm trying to find another job. He's doing what he's got to do. So we are
And
trying to
looking-
make it men's
putting
meet.
application,
putting
trying to-
applications and
I think it's been really enlightening for me to spend time with people experiencing homelessness and just ask questions about what their story is, because sometimes it's something like fleeing domestic abuse, being kicked out by family because of their sexuality. They lost a loved one. It was the death of a loved one. Or
that's why people need to sit and talk to. If you see
Yeah.
somebody homeless, do like Alyson did.
Yeah.
She didn't turn or spit at him. She sat and talked to him. You got to know him, and you trusted him enough, which was kind of silly.
kind of ridiculous. I
I
know.
got
wouldn't
lucky.
suggest that,
No, we got lucky. You got lucky that we were good people. But people need to instead of looking at them and thinking of them as a homeless, no good, worthless person, talk to them, find their story. You need to understand people before you start saying stuff about them.
And when you have people giving handouts and thinking that they're being generous, sometimes I
gosh.
think it actually is more so for the person to just deal with their guilt. They feel bad if they don't do something, but they're not actually listening to what you truly need in that moment.
Right.
I know this is a strange question, but how did your body actually feel when you ate the food that people gave you?
I've gained
She gained
lots
a lot
and
of weight.
lots of weight because most people, I don't understand why, but they seem to think that cookies and potato chips.
Cookies, potato chips, candies.
All
or
you're
ramen
going to be able
noodles.
to eat, and that's
Right.
not
And that's
nourishing
all,
your
yeah.
body.
Yeah, no, I mean, you can get vegetables and fruits just as cheap.
Right,
It might be even cheaper.
right.
That would be, I've gained 50 pounds being homeless. How many homeless people do you know gained weight?
But
But
today,
I've been losing weight
Yeah.
since I've been off the streets and in a home and doing the healthy eating. And so I'm feeling really good. I'm down almost 60 pounds.
60
so.
pounds.
wow, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm excited for the health journey because it is
Thank
a
you. It is.
holistic. It's a holistic process.
It really is.
Yeah.
She feels better. She can walk much easier. She can move around.
Yes,
you know?
I don't
Right.
have pains. And I
Aches
shower
and
every day
pains.
at least 3 times.
Yeah, right.
So-
You're like, oh, look, it's a
Yes,
shower.
it's a
Let's
little
use
little
it.
one, yes.
Oh, look, it's a shower.
Oh, she loves the shower.
Yes.
I'll tell you that.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yes.
So, is there anything else that you want to share before I ask my final question?
I just want people just to understand the homeless, get to know them
Get
a
to
little
know them,
better,
yeah.
please. I mean, there is so much negativity about Skid Row. Not all people live like that. We lived nice, clean. We didn't have trash all over. We didn't go to the bathroom outside. We did it in receptacles and threw it in a trash bin. I mean, not all homeless are dirty and disgusting like the media shows. A lot of us are very respectful and care what we look like. You all got to just stop paying a little more attention to what's going on around you.
One thing I want to say is, it's true there's a lot of homelesses. They have problems, different issues. You know, I would say 70% of the homeless, from what I experience, they have either mental, alcohol, or some sort of drug problems. But there is the other 25 or 30% that have no problems and they're stuck.
And they want
And
out.
They want out, but they're not getting it because
You got to be sick or you got to be an addict or
you
an
have
alcoholic
to,
to get help.
Or the ones that give a bad name to everybody. Not all homelesses are bad.
Right.
And out of that 70% that they are having a problem, I would say 30% of them would like to help themselves.
Right.
Absolutely.
But they're just not getting the type of help, or people are not listening
Exactly.
what they are, and they trying to force them somewhere. Instead of forcing them, try to help them. You cannot expect them to quit over one night.
Exactly.
You have to be understanding and give them time. If you try to force them, they will just go back
They're going
to
to
it.
retaliate. Yes.
They're going to retaliate, and that's not an avenue to take.
That's beautiful. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you, Alyson.
So the final question.
Yes.
Now, in all of your different experiences, what does home mean for you?
It means Steve.
Aw.
Kathy and my furball
and
babies.
our babies, yes. That's home. I mean, even
Wherever
though
we
we were
were.
in the woods, that was our home. We still had home. And we always had hope.
Whether it's a hard roof, whether it's not,
Whether it's the
or
hard
whether-
ground.
whether it's hard ground, as long as we're together and as long as we can sleep together, that I would say it's home.
That's exactly it.
For the
Yes.
time being, until we can find a better.
Yep, that's home.
That's amazing. Well,
Thank you,
thank you
Alyson.
both for
Thank
being
you,
here.
Alyson.
Thanks
Thank you
for
for the
sharing.
opportunity. Thank you.
Yeah, always fun talking.
Yes.
And now I'm glad that other people know your story. And
I hope they listen. I hope they get it.
I'm sure
Yes.
that many people will be inspired.
I'm very
and,
happy.
And
Thank
I'm
you.
also excited about those who are going through what you've been through.
Yes, don't
are
give
trying-
up.
Yeah.
Please don't give
Don't
up.
give up.
That's
Stay
amazing.
strong.
And take it
Yes.
one step at a time.
Yes.
One day at a time. Don't rush into it.
Yep, that's all. Be patient.
Amazing.
God bless.
Thank you both.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Alyson.
time to spit some facts. Did you know a third of women take their birth control inconsistently just to save money? And over 19 million women lack reasonable access to contraceptive methods? This is unacceptable, and I found a company doing something about it. Simple Health is making it as easy as possible for women to fulfill basic healthcare needs, regardless of income, location, and insurance access. So no more waiting rooms, no more pharmacy lines, judgment, the hassle. You can get birth control that is personalized for you from over 100 trusted brands, including the pill, the patch, and the ring. You just fill out an online health profile, a doctor reviews it with you and makes sure you're a good candidate for birth control, and then writes a prescription. Then your birth control ships to your door monthly, no interruptions, and it's free with most insurance plans. Otherwise, it starts at $15 a month without insurance. Need a few more facts? Access to birth control helps women advance further in education and career. It's also been proven to contribute a third of the wage gains women have made since the 60s. Another bonus is that the Simple Health team is 63% female, so you've got folks who get it. So skip the stress, save time, and find the best birth control for your body, lifestyle, and needs. If you have questions, you need help with costs, their patient experience team and doctors are just a message away. No hidden fees, just a promise to care. Right now, I'm offering a free prescription, so don't miss your chance to try it with my code by going to simplehealth.com/stoner or entering stoner at checkout. Again, you can try it for free by going to simplehealth.com/stoner or entering stoner at checkout. And of course, Simple Health isn't a replacement for routine checkups with your doctor, so make sure you're still out there getting your pelvic exams, your pap smears, and all the good checkups, friends. Take care.
Wow. So there's so much to learn from Kathy and Steve's story and perspectives. Nonetheless, I hope you recognize that under the right conditions, this could be any one of us, me, you, a family member, in a time of need with limited personal connections and resources to rely on when facing overwhelming systemic challenges. Anyone can become homeless. We cannot box people into stereotypes, but we can honor the human being right in front of us who deserves love and support. Now, onto this week's mantras and takeaways. I will repeat each twice, and you can follow in the space for the third. Use it to support yourself this week. Number 1, now is not forever. Now is not forever. Number 2, I listen to others' stories instead of judging. I listen to others' stories instead of judging. And lastly, I am strong and resilient through my vulnerability. I am strong and resilient through my vulnerability. I hope you enjoyed listening to Simplexity. Please do share this around with your community. Share your thoughts by commenting on Instagram at Simplexity Podcast or my account at Alyson Stoner. And help me keep this going by leaving a rating and a review with your favorite takeaways from the episode. I'll chat with you next week for more Simplexity. It's anything but small talk. Peace.